Good evening, everyone. My name is Jaime Perez, and welcome back to my podcast. As you may know, I had a podcast way back during my senior year. It was on Spotify, and I really enjoyed making it. I really enjoyed making episodes, but nevertheless, I had to use some uploading website that I had to pay for, and at the end of the day, I felt like I was just spending money on something I was only uploading on every so often. So I'm going to begin uploading my episodes on YouTube. That way I don't have to limit how much time they're going to be lasting, and I can just straight up, excuse me for that, I can just straight up, upload however, many episodes I want, however long I want them, and not have to worry about the cost associated with that. Since the last episode, I've begun to think about what I want this podcast to be. I want this to be an opportunity for me to just talk about my opinions, talk about my thoughts, and moreover, be able to share just talking points that I feel need attention in our daily lives, talking points that people quite often don't bring up. And so to kick us off with this brand new experience, something that I'm a little bit, weary about beginning as well, I want to talk about getting ready for college life, and more importantly, how anxious we all must be feeling getting ready for such an experience, getting ready to go thousands of miles away. For some of us, or staying here in the state 20 minutes away from our houses for the rest, right? I am one of the, in my opinion, unlucky few that have to unfortunately go thousands of miles away to afford my education. I'm grateful to be able to attend a great liberal arts college, College of the Holy Cross, and I'm excited to embark on this journey. But nevertheless, it's had me thinking about the people I'm going to be losing. And yes, I'll be using that word because it is truly a loss. It is a loss. And I'll touch on why that is later on. And I'll be also, in a way, disassociating with my community, when really that's never the goal for anyone, but it happens quite often. And it's just a reality I feel like a lot of us need to come to terms with, because it's something that's going to end up happening to so many of us. I've had the privilege throughout the past 4 years of high school to have quite a lot of different friendships and a variety of different people. It's been quite diverse, actually. A very diverse, different field of people each year. And it was a blessing, I have to say, to be able to be friends with people, understand their experiences, understand where they come from, and just open up my worldview, and more importantly, open myself up to brand new opinions and brand new people who can really help me understand the world a little bit better while also helping me understand myself. So that was an enriching experience, and to my friends, you know who you are. I appreciate everything you've given me, all the lessons you've provided, and the overall love that you still share for me to this day. It's forever going to be appreciated. It's something that I'm never going to forget. But I think it's important to begin to acknowledge that there's going to be some separation. There's going to be a bigger distance between us, both physically and emotionally, now that I know that I'm going to be spending the next 4 years of my life in Massachusetts, while simultaneously not even knowing if I'm going to end up living there. And it's a saddening fact to begin acknowledging such a challenging proposition, but it's a fact of life, You end up spending so much time with these people, you end up getting so close to them, but then something like this comes in the way. It's the turning point in your life. And you have to make that choice, I want to stay friends with these people, and I'll do everything in my power to keep in communication with them. But at the end of the day, it's something we can't avoid, right? We're going to grow distant. We're not going to be speaking to each other as much. And that's just a sad fact of the matter. Am I going to make an active, effort to not talk to these people? The answer is, of course not. I'd be fucking crazy if I went and blocked these magnificent people out of my life as if they had never given me anything. However, it is something that's bound to happen. And I think that I just needed to acknowledge that, because for a while now, ever since we graduated, I've been feeling this sort of like guilt, in a way. A guilt about me going so far away. I was going to be having one of my best friends in the state as well, whom I love dearly. She knows who she is. But at the same time, I was going to be leaving a lot of other people whom I call my friend. People who have helped me through trying times. People who have all made their own individual impact in my life. But it's something that we need to come to terms with. Something that just needs to be acknowledged as we make our ways towards, our lives, our careers, as we begin to forge our paths as adults. And I think that as I've been reflecting on these past friendships, I've also been thinking about the closure that I want to come to terms with. The closure that I need to be able to not say goodbye necessarily, but to be able to know and be comfortable with my life, knowing that the people who I'm leaving behind, or the people who are going to be leaving me, are going to be living a happy, fulfilling life. Now, is that unrealistic? Of course it is. You can't make sure that someone lives a fulfilling, enjoyable life. However, I think that it's not impossible for me to go out there for at least the ones that I truly love, and to go and make sure that I find that closure that I need right before I head off, because as many of you may know, I'm going to be gone for a while. And I think that if I'm able to find such closure, I'm going to be able to, at the least, have a sense of, an ease of mind and calmness as I go and approach brand new friendships or brand new acquaintances and begin to grow more distant with those who I've loved so much for the past 4 years. Ultimately, I think that while this is a very depressing subject to touch upon in my very first episode of my brand new series, I think it's important to acknowledge that, because a lot of us are feeling those jitters, and I've sensed it even within my own friends. I talk to them and I can already begin to see them. We always keep talking about how I'm leaving, or how sad I am that I'm not going to be seeing them, and it's just something that keeps coming up. But I think we're getting to the point now where we need to begin thinking about what's next, right? We're already set. Basically, we start college in less than a month now, and honestly, I just needed to get it off my chest, because I'm sure that many of you are feeling the same way. Many of you have spent the sleepless nights thinking about the people you're leaving behind. Many of you have quite possibly just felt like you couldn't find an answer to a hidden guilt inside of you about having to leave these people behind. But I think that what we need to take away from this is to not feel guilty, to not feel ashamed of leaving your friends behind, because you're not leaving them behind on purpose, to say the least. You're pursuing a better life for yourself, a career you wish to pursue, a career that's going to be enriching your life, and is going to be making you a much better person for yourself and for those around you. If your choice is to not be as close with those people, then that's for you to decide. But for me, I know that I'm going to continue to make that effort to at least keep the friendships I have at the level that I have them now. And if I can't accomplish that, well, I just know for a fact that I'm not going to be, feeling that guilt anymore, because it wasn't on purpose that I did that, and it wasn't something that was completely my fault. Again, I'm sorry for the really depressing first subject of my podcast. I want everyone to understand that I want this to be a little bit more real than the last one, because my last podcast was just about me joking about stories, telling stories about my childhood, and of course, there will be stories in this podcast too. But I think that we really need people, or more or less people our age, speaking about subjects that are very real to us, very close to home, and more importantly, something that we can relate to, right? I'm not saying I'm the most relatable person on this planet, because God knows I'm not. But I do think it's important to be able to bring up these subjects and just be able to talk about it, talk about how we feel, talk about what we expect, and talk about the fears that we have in our lives, and just be able to vent that out and just know that people will be listening and offering support if needed, right? But yeah, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I'm going to be making more episodes as this month progresses. Hopefully, I should have 5 before I head out to Massachusetts. And of course, when I'm over there, I'm going to continue to make episodes. Or, I don't know, I'll find some kind of schedule to be uploading. But yeah, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. And I love you all. Have a great night.